everyone, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I'm going to be talking about couples I do not like. This is February, it's Valentine's month, and so we're doing a lot of videos based around romance. But tonight it's kind of like the do not do this in your books anymore, please. All right, so this first couple, I sort of argued with myself as to whether or not they belonged on this list, because some of the couples on this list I completely loathe, and I have very strong feelings about why are they considered a romantic couple. This one is totally different. I actually like this couple in theory. I think that they really should have ended up together. I just don't like the way their relationship was developed. So let me go ahead and tell you who it is. Harry Potter and Ginny Weasley. Like I said, in theory, I actually like this couple. I think they are good for each other. I think they're a good match. But unfortunately, the way that the series, it's too late. It's almost like I would rather them not be introduced at all. And then in the epilogue, when they're all coming to the train station, we find out that Harry and Ginny got married. Like, it would almost have been better if this whole thing had happened off page, off screen, because there just wasn't time to develop it the way it needed to be developed. And so it felt like everything was rushed. And honestly, the way it feels like to me is like two teenagers who are in a play and they're being forced to pretend like they like each other. And it's super awkward and like, do they? Can they really pull it off? They just don't pull it off. So, and I think part of the reason why this wasn't pulled off quite right is because J.K. Rowling didn't realize until too late that that's what she wanted Harry's love interest to be. So like I said, I kind of get she was in a rock and a hard place because she didn't realize it until it was too late, and she really did want that to be what happened. So she went ahead and went for it. And it's not like you can go back and rewrite the books you've already published to change it and to have some foreshadowing and some relationship development there. But still, I don't like this couple when I'm reading this book. When I'm reading this book, I cringe, I feel awkward, I feel like they don't belong together while I'm reading it, even though in theory, I do think that they do. So that's why they're on the list, because ultimately, I don't like the way that they were written. However, they definitely do not deserve the kind of frustration I feel with some of these other couples. This next romantic couple is really not going to be much of a surprise if you've seen my rant review of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I don't want to rant on this too much because I've already done a very long spiel about it. But I do not like the couple of Addie and Henry. I said it before, I feel like the way the romance is set up, it's sort of like a love of convenience. They really don't have a choice but to love each other because they have no other options. When you really think about it, it's not that romantic to say, you are absolutely the only person that I could possibly love. I love you. Oh, I feel so loved. Thank you for loving me when there's really no other option. Again, I said this in my rant review. This could have been fixed by developing the relationship in such a way as to make me believe as a reader that these two would have chosen each other even if they weren't cursed, that their love extends beyond time and space or whatever, that there was such chemistry and such a spark and such an understanding that I truly believe in the depth of their love. But I don't. I just don't. There was a little, yeah, we're not going to go back into the rant review. I'm going to stay away from the ranting. Let's just leave it at that. They're not that romantic. Okay, this is Resand from A Court of Thorn and Roses. Look, I'm not a fan of Tamlin either. I didn't read the rest of the series. I didn't like the first book. It's not really my cup of tea. It's not really to my liking or my taste, many of the different things, the way that physical intimacy is handled and many other things. I did not really love this book anyways, but the romantic couplings in this book definitely did not make me want to read the next books in this series. First of all, let's just start with Tamlin. I think maybe the author wrote him in such a way that you wouldn't really be that attached to him or like him that much, because she knew that she didn't want him to be the actual main love interest going forward in the story. He's possessive and controlling, and that whole like fire dance sequence where she's an idiot and she keeps leaving her room even though she knows how dangerous it is, and then he comes to her and he's like bites her. Ugh. Aside from Tamlin, eventually she meets Resand, and Resand is not a healthy love interest. I don't care what happens in the next books. I actually went and I read several reviews and several recaps so I would be able to kind of understand why people would like him in the next books. But pretty much what it sounds like to me is you basically have to forget everything he did in the first book and just sort of allow yourself to be gaslighted, because there really is no excuse for what he did. Let's recap. He forces her to be drugged, and then she has to dance naked and sit on his lap. So he's basically, I feel like this is sexual assault. It's not okay. It's never okay. And once somebody has done this, is there redemption for a person who does something so sickening and disgusting? Maybe, possibly, if you want to write that book. But there is not a future for that person with the person that they have abused, in my opinion. What else does he do? I mean, the conversations he has with her, like where he kind of says he would have wanted to force her into his bed. Like, anyone who's willing to say that is not an acceptable romantic interest ever, period. And then the third thing, he tortures her so that she'll agree to be his captive 1 week a month. Hey y'all, just want to jump in here really quick and say I got a little heated in this segment, and to make up for that, I'm going to drop a link down below to a vlog of one of my newfound favorite booktubers who is reading this book. He's reading it as a punishment for some thing he lost on his own channel. Anyways, and it is hilarious to watch someone who is really not into romantic fantasies have to read this book. So even if you're a fan of this book, I think you will enjoy this vlog. So yeah, feel free to check that one out. It made my night. I laughed out loud several times. This is not romantic. This is not healthy. I don't care what comes after this. The fact that this character is then written later on to be somebody that people want and romanticize, like, that is even more disturbing to me. This will be my all-time non-favorite couple ever. All right, sticking with this same author, I really don't like Selena and Rowan in the Throne of Glass series. Actually, to be perfectly honest, I didn't finish that series because it's just, man, this author is just not my cup of tea. I don't know why I tried so hard with it. It's like, for some reason, I wanted to like her books because so many people loved them and gave them such high ratings. And I just thought, maybe if I just give it another go, this time I'll like it. I don't. These just are not the books for me. And this is definitely not the couple for me. They're just kind of boring. And I don't think I'll like any books with her world, with the Fae involved, because they always just come across as very possessive and controlling, in my opinion. All right, moving on to the next one. This couple, a lot of people agree with me on, and I decided to throw this in there just to show that I can be fair. This is one of my all-time favorite series, The Wheel of Time, but I really hate the couple of Matt and Tuon, because Matt is one of my favorite characters, and I was so excited for the entire series for him to meet his future wife that it's been prophesied that he will meet. So when he does meet her, actually, I don't hate her initially. Like, they're kind of okay. It's an interesting development. I sort of am interested in what's going to happen between them. But it just feels like Tuan is the most unlikable character I have ever read. She is so unyielding, so unwilling to change. There is absolutely no character development, it feels like, with her. She's just the worst. She's the worst possible love interest for a guy that you really like. I mean, she's just the worst. There's several reasons why I feel this way. If you've read the series, you understand why a lot of people do not like her. I do think, though, possibly that if Robert Jordan had lived, he was planning on writing a spin-off series. And I think in that series, he was going to write more about Matt and Tuan, and their relationship was going to be developed, and you were going to see, hopefully, changes with Tuan, and you were finally going to see more of an arc for her, which could maybe eventually convince me to be okay with her and Matt. Because, oh man, I do not like her the way she is. There are things about her where I feel like she has potential to become likable, possibly, if she is willing to see how horrible certain aspects of her culture are. But anyways, Robert Jordan passed away prematurely. He was never able to actually write that spin-off series, so maybe we'll never know what was actually in store for Matt and Tuan. And that kind of makes me sad, because I don't think that where they ended up at the end of the series is really where they were actually meant to end up in Robert Jordan's grand design. So that one kind of actually makes me sad, because I feel like this is one that maybe doesn't have to be on the list if only fate had been a little bit kinder. But it wasn't, and I don't like them together. Love Matt, hate Tuan. And actually, you know what? Matt's not the best love interest either, if we're being fair. Even though I like him as a character. I mean, he is not the guy that I am recommending to my best friends. I'm not setting him up with anybody I care about. But, you know, I'll hang out with him and have fun, because he seems like a fun guy to hang out with. But yeah, probably he's not the best love interest either, now that I think about it. Okay, rounding this all out, I'm going with one of the first and classic horrible couples in history that has sort of paved the way for many a terrible trope, and that is Romeo and Juliet. I don't really know people anymore who love Romeo and Juliet, but when I was a teenager in middle school, when that Leonardo DiCaprio movie came out for Romeo and Juliet, all of my friends were swooning. They thought it was the most romantic movie ever, and the movie follows like Shakespeare's play pretty well, even though it's set in modern times. They still are using, the actual language of the play. And I have read the play as well, so it does count as a book, in my opinion. Man, I hate this couple. I hate this couple so hard. This is the epitome of insta-love and how horrible it can be and the dangers it leads to. These are two idiotic, moronic teenagers who don't realize that they have so much to live for besides this extremely angsty, dark romance. First of all, Romeo, he's not that great. He was pining after Rosalind, and then like 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, Juliet. And let's be honest, he knows nothing about her. He just sees her. This is what I hate about insta-love, because there's no way you can actually just see somebody and instantly fall in love with them. You see somebody and you instantly maybe lust after them. I'm sure he thinks she's beautiful, and so he wants to be with her. And Juliet's just like, she's kind of dumb. She's like, oh, okay, sure, Romeo. I'll defy my parents and my family, and I'll marry you in secret. What could possibly go wrong? Sure, Romeo, let's elope, and I will run away from my family because, I just love you so much. I'm sure I won't be miserable or regret my decision in years to come. And I'm sure I can get over the fact that you killed my best friend and cousin. Even though it wasn't totally Romeo's fault, I mean, still, there's just so many bad decisions in this play. And yeah, it's a tragedy. maybe Shakespeare wasn't actually writing it to be romantic. He wanted to show the pitfalls of this type of romance. I don't know. All I know is I hate it. It's not romantic. It's fine to have it as classic literature, to be there as sort of a warning for people. But please, please, please don't romanticize this play. This is not a good couple. Ever. At all. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about. There are so many other couples that are wonderful to hate in this world and in books, but these were the ones that came to my mind when I first started thinking about this video without having to go in and do research and look at all my books. Because the truth is, most books that I hate, I completely forget about them. There's a reason I forget about them. I hated them. I don't want to think about them. I went into my ebooks and like half the books on there, which I didn't like, I can't remember anything about them. So there's probably a lot more couples that I really hate, but you know what? We're just going to leave it at that, and you guys have a great night. Comment down below if there's a couple that you especially hate and you would like to get that off your chest and cleanse yourself. Bye.